We are in Parashat Kedoshim, and we're going to learn a little bit from the Zohar about the parasha. And the majority of the parasha is talking about how important it is for us to be not only holy, but to be pure. So kadosh comes from the word in Hebrew separated. Doesn't mean holy, that I'm hovering over the ground because I'm so holy. Rather, kadosh means muvdal, that I separate myself from something else. Why would I separate myself from something else? Because I don't want to be affected by that thing. But nevertheless, it says in the parasha, Kedushim tiyu ki kadosh ani. Be refined, be pure, be holy, because I am holy. Going, of course, Hashem is saying that, not me. But nevertheless, the majority of the focus on the parasha is that we want to learn how to become kadosh. And you don't have to become a Baba Sali to be a kadosh. You want to become a pure individual. That our thoughts are pure, that my speech is pure, that my mind is pure, my actions are pure, that it's coming all from a pure place. And needless to say, that requires a lot of work. And not only that, it also requires to know where do I bring the Kedusha from, and where the other side, the Tum'ah, the impurity, will come from. So, we're going to start right from the beginning of Parashat Kedoshim. If you want to follow, we're in page 80, side A, Amud Daf Pei, Amud Aleph. If you want to follow. Since the parasha is right from the beginning warning us to be holy in everything that we do, so Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, he started explaining a different verse that is starting to explain to us where do you start the Kedusha, where do you start bringing Kedusha into your life. And on that verse, and on this part of the Zohar, the Arizal wrote in a book, in the section that is called Shar HaKavanot, Shar Kriyat Shema, and he explains, we're going to go through the verse, that it's talking about a horse and a donkey. This is in Tehillim 32, verse 9. I'm going to read it in a second, but he's talking about the behavior of a horse and a donkey and trying to explain to us how we don't want to behave. So he starts as follows: וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל כל עדת בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, קדושים תהיו, כי קדוש אני, אדוני אלוהיכם. Hashem spoke to Moshe, and he says to Moshe Rabbeinu, please speak to the entire congregation and tell them, please be kedoshim, be holy, be separated. Why? Because I am like that. In order to explain that, starts Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon. He says, Rabbi Elazar patach. He comes and explains. Before he goes into the explanation, he starts explaining about a different verse. What is he explaining? He's explaining a verse in the book of Tehillim, Tehillim 32, Lamed Bet, chapter in verse 9, and the verse says, Al tiyu kesus kepered ein havin. Don't be like a horse, like a mule that does not discern. And maybe I'm saying the word wrong, but I think it's pronounced discern, meaning that you can't say between what's good, what's bad. So this is again the verse in Tehillim 32:9, and he says, don't be like that. Now what does it mean? And he says, Bekama zimnin oraita as hidat behu bnei nasha. How many times does the Torah warn us to human beings that you be very careful with your actions? The Torah warns us a lot of times. Don't just throw actions like as if there's no consequences. Be very careful how you do your actions. How many times did the Torah, so to say, raises its voice? If I want to now make a point, especially if I want to give my kids, so to say, a warning, I would raise my voice. So not only my kids, any other person. If I want to warn somebody, suddenly my voice will go up. So it says, how many times did the Torah, so to say, raises its voice to arouse us? Not only watch your actions, learn Torah. A lot of people, they're observant. which is very nice, but they barely learn Torah. They don't have a lot of Torah. And the majority of my life as an observant individual is to learn Torah. So he says the two things. How many times the Torah warns us to be very careful with my actions? And how many times is the Torah warning me, hello, learn some Torah, you're not learning enough Torah. And many people, here is saying it in a kind of a parable way, many people fall asleep, fall into sleep in the eyes, in the holes of their eyes. Saying in other words that I see something, but my eyes are asleep. I can't see what's good, what's bad. I see something in front of me, but I'm totally asleep. Lo mistaklin velo mashgichin. They don't see. I mean, you can look, you can see, you can view, you can gaze. In Hebrew, when I'm looking with my eyes, it's called lirot, coming from the word re'iyah, because the eyes are looking. But I can also use the word in Hebrew, listakel. Now, in basic Hebrew that you're talking, a lot of people will say, Mata mistakel, what are you looking? So, listakel comes from the word sechel. Sechel is intellect, brain. Mata mistakel. If I'm looking at something with my eyes, ani ro'eh. If I'm looking with my sechel, then I'm mistakel. So the way they speak Hebrew now in Hebrew, the way they speak Hebrew now in Israel, it's not so correct, because it would be much more correct to say mata ro'eh, right? Because I'm looking with my eyes. Rather, mata mistakel, that means that I'm meditating on something and I'm using my sechel. So it says here, lo mistaklin, you don't look with your sechel. I can look at now at the situation and I see everything, but I see it with my eyes. I don't see it with my brain. I don't see it with my intellect. And lo mashgichin. No, you don't. Lashgiach is to supervise. What do I need to supervise? Is when I look what it's going to birth. If I'm looking at something and I don't make a quick analysis, what is it going to be the future from it? That means I'm not supervising on what I'm looking at. Because the Mishnah says, Ezu hachacham, who's a wise person? Haroeh et ha'olam, that sees what a situation will birth. If I look at something and I look at it only with my eyes, I will not see beyond what my eyes see. Not only that, I'm not going to think or care what's going to be the future of it. And he continues, says, Behech anpin yekomun leyom adedina illa'ah. In what face, how are you going to, so to say, stand in front of Hashem? Here he says, get up or rise, because he says, anpin yekomun, you rise up. With what face you're going to rise up and stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu on the great judgment day? How are you going to stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu? So, if I do a certain action, and I don't think what will be the result, it's meaning that I'm not thinking of the day that I'm going to have to give an account to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to ask me, didn't you see what the situation was? You had to say this instead of that. You had to behave like this or like that. So he's using that the parable that people, they look with their eyes, but they're totally asleep. Why? Because they don't look with their sechel, they don't look with their intellect, and they're not looking into the future. How would the future would be? Not only that, kad yitbalon malka ilah elbona deoraita. One day, the Kadosh Baruch Hu will sue every individual for when the person humiliated the Torah. This is a very scary lawsuit that we might stand in front of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's going to be many lawsuits in Shamayim. And people don't realize that, but when I do certain actions, I get a lawsuit against me in Shamayim. If you would know how many lawsuits are against you in Shamayim, I don't know if you want to go up there so fast. But nevertheless, there's sometimes also lawsuits from the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why did you insult the Torah? Why did you make a joke out of the Torah? Not only that, why did you take the Torah, why did you make the Torah secondary? How come you listen to that opinion and not to the opinion of the Torah? So one has to be also careful. Wait a minute. I'm going to once be questioned by the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Why did you make the Torah this big? How come you learned, I don't know what, some nonsense for 3 hours a day in Torah, you only learned 10 minutes? Why did you watch the Discovery Channel for 5 hours and then the YouTube channel of some rabbi only 10 minutes? Here you get 5 hours of the wisdom of the world and 5 minutes of Torah. What's the learn 5 hours Torah, then go to the Discovery Channel for 30 minutes. But nevertheless, there is going to be a lawsuit for people who don't learn enough Torah. Now, if you're busy, you have a job, you have a business, you're raising kids, whatever it is, then the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, okay, I understand that the majority of your day has to go on living your life. But make time for Torah. It's called likvoa itim. Make an hour a day, 2 hours a day. Make the Torah the main part, not the secondary. And he continues, the tzvachat lekabel hon, vela hadaru anpin lekibla. The Torah is, so to say, screaming towards you, come and learn me. And I ignore the Torah. And some people, you come and tell them, come, there's a class today. I'm tired now, I'll see the rerun online. No, it's not the same, the one online. Come and sit in the class. No, I'm tired, I have to take care of my wife and my don't ask. And Torah says, hello, come. How many times somebody invited you to a class or to a lecture and you came with some excuse, I'm too busy. No, you're not busy, you're lazy. So, Chas v'shalom, I'm not directing what I'm saying at anybody specifically. I'm just saying in general, you have to use your common sense here. Because the Torah is calling you. The chulhu pagimin bechola. Many people do a lot of sins. And you know that probably a large amount of your sins, you know why you do them? Because you didn't learn Torah and you don't know you're not allowed to. I'm not talking about right now you did something by mistake. And I'm not talking about something that you did something when you know. But you know how many sins you would probably prevent if you would learn Torah? Not too long ago I was in a lecture somewhere. And in the lecture, completely out of context, I said, you're not allowed to drive to shul on Shabbat. You're not allowed to desecrate Shabbat in order to do a mitzvah. And somebody came to me at the end of the lecture, a man in his 60s, and he started crying. And he told me, I've been driving to the synagogue for 20 years. And nobody ever told me I'm not allowed to drive to synagogue. You're the first one that I ever heard it from. He's like, why didn't they tell me I'm not allowed to drive? I said, well, I don't know what they didn't tell you. But I didn't want to chas v'shalom insult him or put him in the wrong place, but I wanted to tell him, well, maybe if you would sit and learn the laws of Shabbat, maybe you would understand it yourself. So a lot of the sins that we do is because I don't know how to do it. I didn't take the time to learn. Now, a lot of people, they I don't know, I don't want to say something as harsh as they're being lazy, but they're saying, I'll wait for the for the rabbi to tell me. When I became observant, I didn't wait for the rabbi to tell me what to do. Tell me, give me the book, let me read it myself. I'll read it myself. Whatever I don't understand, I will start asking. The first day I ever went to a yeshiva, the first day in my life that I was in a yeshiva, I came there, the rabbi greeted me. He didn't greet me with so much warmth. He gave me a book, and he slammed it on the table, and he told me, read it, I'll come and get you in a few days. Few days? This is going to take me a few days? He's like, well, if you read it be'ayun, it will take you a few days. I'll come and get you in a few days. And I looked at the book and I was like, wow, this looks so boring. After 15 minutes, I was already... And there wasn't then iPhones to text and to WhatsApp. I mean, there wasn't the technology, but I was after 15 minutes already, I felt my pulse in my brain. But nevertheless, this book is called Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the short version of the Shulchan Aruch. And you know what? Later on, I started going through it, and I was like, you know what? I went one page, another page, and another page, and I was like, ooh, this is actually interesting. I didn't know I'm not allowed to do this. I didn't know I'm not allowed to do that. So the attitude of the rabbi there was like, listen, don't think you're going to be sitting here and I'm just going to feed you what you're supposed to do and not do. You take a book and you learn for yourself. So I can tell you already that for many, many years, when I started to become observant, I thought that I'm observing Shabbat. You know why I thought that I'm observing Shabbat? Because I didn't drive, and I didn't talk on the phone, and I didn't watch TV, and I didn't do a few other things. But years later, when I got in the section of Shulchan Aruch for the Hilchot Shabbat, for the laws of Shabbat, every page I figured out that I'm desecrating Shabbat every time, and I'm not even observing Shabbat, because I'm failing in the laws of Muktzeh, things you're not allowed to move. I was failing in the laws of Borer, things you're not allowed to mix. I was failing in laws of Bishul, of cooking, even how you make a cup of tea. And I was like, I don't know nothing. So here he says the same thing. Many people, they come to do a lot of sins. But why? Delo yadu mehemnuta de malka il'ah. That they don't know, they don't put on their heart the, so to say, the art of the supreme king. The Torah is Hashem's wisdom, and He comes and tells us, this is my wisdom, learn it. If I would now offer you $1 million a month job, would you take it? Most likely yes. Most people. But there's a condition in this job. The headquarters is in Brazil, and you have to learn Portuguese. And I'm giving you exactly 3 months to learn the language. You would learn the language from morning to night just to get this job. And again, I'm talking general. Don't take my words personal and get offended. And I know a lot of people say, hey, I'm already from Brazil. I don't need to learn. Well, I didn't hire you. I hired the one who needs to learn. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu comes and says, listen, you are a Jew. You want to be a servant to the king? Learn the language. Learn what Hashem wants from you. But nevertheless, the Torah, when it's accessible to you and you don't turn to it, that's an insult to the Torah. If you come to Shamayim and they tell you, did you learn Torah? They tell him, listen, I woke up in the morning, I had 7 kids to dress, to get them to school, then I had to rush to my first job and run from the first job to the next job, and then I came home and I helped my wife, and by 10 o'clock at night I was already seeing colors, I had to go to sleep. Okay, you were busy. You could have learned a little bit on the bus or maybe on the traffic. But if you're sitting and you're not doing nothing and you're not learning Torah a certain amount of time, then it's an insult to the Torah when it's so accessible. In our generation, there's no excuses. Anywhere you want, you'll find the Torah. You'll find it, on the internet, you'll find it on TV, you'll find it in books. We never had any generation that had so many books. You buy now a book for $10. 100 years ago, who had a book? You think people had books of Torah? The yeshiva had one book and everybody will sit in front of one book. Now we just go to the store and you buy them like that. Not to say that you have your phone. You go into an app like Sefaria. You have now a whole library in the tip of your hand. There's no excuses right now. But nevertheless, it says here that when we have the Torah so easy, accessible, and you're not taking it, this is an insult to the Torah. Especially like today, exactly what you said before. Now there's no excuses. The Torah is translated to almost any language. There are sidurim in any language. Almost everything is translated. And of course, there's maybe books that are not. And a lot of the translations, I would actually be very careful before I read it. But nevertheless, we never had such access to the Torah. Nevertheless, he continues and he says that some people, they don't hear the Torah calling them. That's already a problem when you don't hear the Torah calling you. Because the Torah is calling you and it's also warning you. The Torah is warning you and it's telling every person, and here he's taking a verse from the book of Mishlei, from Proverbs, and it says, Mi peti yasur hena chasar lev ve'amra lo. This is a verse from Mishlei, from Proverbs 9, verse 4. And it says, whoever is simple, let him turn here to the one devoured of sense. Maybe I'm pronouncing it devoid. And whoever's simple, let him turn here to the one, how did you say it? Devoid of sense. Right? So he says, what does it really mean? A petty is a person that very easily gets convinced or moved away. And the Torah tells that person, come and learn from me. Don't go and learn all the rest of the junk out there. Why? Because each and every one of us has a piece in the Torah. What do we say every day? V'ten chelkenu b'toratecha. Give me my piece. I have an inheritance in the Torah. So the Torah calls me and tells me, hello, come and claim your part. Come and learn your part. Umi she'eno lomed poshe'ahu. And a person that doesn't learn, he's like a biblical criminal. Why you don't learn? And then he asks, Ma'u chasar lev. Who is the person that doesn't have a heart? Chasar lev. And he answers, Delet le mehemnuta. That he doesn't have Emuna. Person that doesn't have Emuna, faith. Meaning that Emuna, the faith, is not sitting very strong in his heart. I told you so many times that we're all born with Emuna, And throughout our life, our parents lied to us, our teachers lied to us, society lies to us, so we lose our faith. And since we don't believe in anything, we also don't believe in Hashem. And I'm sure you also heard me say the story not once and not twice with the person who became observant and they tested him with $5, with $50, with $50,000. So you have to know, how much emunah do I have? So when it comes to little things, you know I have emunah. When you test it with something big, now we'll see how much emunah you have, how much faith you have. So he says, who's a person that is chasar lev, that is missing in his heart? A person that doesn't have enough emunah. And the reason? Deman de la ishtadel beoraita, a person that doesn't toil in the Torah, lav b'mehemnuta, he will never have emunah. And a lot of people, and what he does, this would be like an autopilot. And a lot of people, they might have a beard and a yais yarmulke and a suit, and they're doing a lot of mitzvot, but there's no emunah there. They're doing it like a machine, like a robot. And I meet many people, especially sad fathers, that come and tell me, go talk to my son. He has bar mitzvah in 2 weeks. He doesn't want to put tefillin on. And I'm talking about fathers from an observant communities, not a father from Tel Aviv. I'm talking about people from observant communities that tell me, my son, he doesn't have an emunah. He doesn't want to do the mitzvot. And how many times people themselves, they have all these questions. You know, a few weeks ago in my last trip in New York, I met this individual. Now they're going to watch me on the video, say, you're talking about me. But we were sitting in the Shabbat meal, maybe 6 hours, backwards, forth, like ping pong. And it all boiled down that the person observes Shabbat, goes to synagogue, after the 6-hour argument, said Birkat HaMazon, but has no emunah, not zero or a little bit. No emunah. I told him, and right after that, when we did the zimun, I told him, why are you saying Birkat HaMazon? No, I told him, I saw you all morning in Shacharit, in Bet Knesset on Yom Shabbat. And how you talk, you don't have any emunah. You don't have faith. So many people struggle with the fact that they don't have faith, and some people are aware of that, and they want some type of a remedy. Go and learn Torah. Learn Torah. You will start filling your heart with emunah. You'll have the right faith. And we are this much emunah we have. People that had a big emunah were people like Avraham Avinu and many other great sages, that their level of emunah was so great. There are stories in the Talmud, there were certain Tanaim that they would just walk through a wall. Why? Because their level of emunah was so big that they brought themselves to the state of belief, there is no wall. I can walk through it because it doesn't exist. Same thing like Avraham Avinu and many other great leaders. Take for example Moshe Rabbeinu. The Zohar calls Moshe Rabbeinu Raya Mehemna, a trustworthy shepherd. But really the right translation of Raya Mehemna, Raya is a shepherd, but Mehemna is faith, is emunah. The Moshe Rabbeinu, every generation there's a Raya Mehemna, a leader that he feeds us with emunah. That's a Moshe Rabbeinu, that's Raya Mehemna. Raya is a shepherd. Mehemna, this is one way of translating it, a faithful shepherd. But faithful to the sheep and for the job, like David HaMelech that used to feed first the small sheep, then the big sheep and so forth. I'm sure you know the story. But Raya Mehemna, when it's referring to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's talking about, again, Raya is a shepherd, that a leader. Mehemna is emunah, that he feeds us emunah. That's why we have the concept of being attached to a tzaddik. Why do I learn from the tzaddik? Not because he's a great person and I want to hang his picture on the wall. Because he has the ability to feed me emunah. But nevertheless, we all find ourselves in situations that I don't have emunah. How am I going to get through this right now? How am I going to survive? Sometimes the test in emunah is, how am I going to pay my next bill? How am I going to pay the next rent payment or whatever it is? Am I ever going to find my other half? Whatever it is. You want to have emunah? The Torah tells you very simple. Learn Torah. The more you learn Torah, the more emunah, the more faith you're going to build in. But if I don't, ufagim hu mikola, but if I do not learn Torah, then I damage my emunah. I'll not have emunah. I can put tefillin on every day. I can say Birkat HaMazon and come to shul. I can be the first one in shul. But I'm a machine. I'm a robot. I'm just like a technical part. When I became observant, I came with so much enthusiasm into the Torah, and I was, shocked to see. I would go to one synagogue. I remember once there was a synagogue, one of the communities that I went to, and most of the people they were born observant, and they would start Shacharit the same time with me. I'm Israeli who speaks fluent Hebrew. They would finish before I'm even in Baruch She'amar. I was like, how do you move your lips so fast to say the words? It can't even, I don't even know how you do it. And you never spoke Hebrew in your life. Why? Machine. It's like a mechanical. There's no excitement. There's no life. There's no emunah. So nevertheless, the deficiency, what we says here, chasar lev, who is a person chasar lev that is missing something in the heart? Not that he's missing a heart. This is not the Tin Man from, what's her name? Alice in Wonderland, doesn't have a heart. Wizard of Oz, sorry. Ooh, I said, I can be stoned now. But nevertheless, this is not that I don't have a heart. It means that the heart is lacking emunah. Now it says, in the same verse, Amralo, that she said to him, he's questioning, Amralo, she said to him, Amralo, mi ba'ele, what is this way how it's talking? And it says, then a person who's a petty is very quickly to be distracted or believe something, v'achasar lev, a person that doesn't have faith in his heart, lechan, you go to a certain direction, v'agidulo, lechu lachmi. No, instead of seeing that the Torah is the most important part, the person is going to a completely different direction. And they think that the happiness, the health, the success can be found here. When the Torah is telling you, hello, you're going the wrong way. It's over there. You're only going to find happiness and success and achieving your goals when you go to the path of the Torah. Now he continues, says, Kama de'at amar, as it says, Omra la'el sal'i. He's now quoting another verse of Tehillim from chapter 42, Membet, 42:10. And it says, Omra le'el sal'i, I will say to my God, you are my rock. Now he says, Shekol zman shani begalut, as long as I am in exile, I will tell Hashem, why did you deserted me? Where are you, Hashem? Why you left me behind? If so, Ma'u Amra. So why does it says, that uses the word Amra, she said, and he answers, Ela le'achlala ulit tosfa oraita dil'ela. He comes to add the Torah that is above the sphera of Bina. And Bina is an additional wisdom that it says on the Torah, Al titosh Torah timecha, don't desert the Torah of your mother. What does it mean, your mother? Not my physical mother or my biological mother. Rather, the Torah is coming from the sphera, above the sphera of Bina. And it says, don't desert the Torah that is coming from Bina. So the Torah, if I don't apply it in my life and I don't learn it, the Torah becomes absence in my life, and therefore the way how it's using in the verse, it's using it in a way that it's concealed and hidden. Dehi karya lechasar lev, and it calls the person a person that is heartless, but nevertheless, pagim mimhenuta, that his faith has a blemish. I have a blemish in my faith. Why? Without the Torah, you'll never have faith. Which is kind of a catch-22, because if I was born without the Torah, why will I have faith to start with? So now you get to the question, what comes first? The faith of the Torah. But nevertheless, in our situation, many people that are thirsty to have some faith, or they're struggling with their emunah, and the Torah comes and tells you, if the Torah is absent in your life, of course you're not going to have faith. That's why when I want to deal with somebody that is far away from the Torah, I can't come and necessarily reason with the person. Most people who are not observant, you come and tell them things from the Torah, the head doesn't want to accept it. They don't want to think or digest it, because the Torah has to be addressed with emunah, not with wisdom. You're not going to be able to understand the Torah with your sechel. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand the Torah with his sechel. So it is coming from emunah. So when you want to bring somebody close to the Torah, then you give him some full kosher food. You will let him sit in a Shabbat table to hear some Kiddush, or you bring him to a Shiur Torah, put tefillin on him, whatever you mean, whatever it is. A woman, let her light candles, because the power of the Torah is what's kept bringing the person closer. Just to finish here, and he says, because we have learned, Ki kol man de la ishtadel beoraita, any person that doesn't toil in the Torah, not only toil, he's using the word ishtadel. Ishtadel means in Hebrew to la'asok, is to work for the Torah. Is the word in Hebrew, la'asok, comes from the word in Hebrew, esek. Esek is a business. You can't run a business from an hour sitting at home and the business will just run. That will work maybe 20 years after the business is established. You can't start a business and not be there. So the Torah says, la'asok b'Torah, that I have to deal with the Torah like a business, from morning to night. I have to care about it. If I'm 1 hour not in the business will collapse. It says a person that is not busy with the Torah all day long, מי שאינו עוסק בתורה, אסיר למקרב לגבי, we're not allowed to go close to a person like that. For why? להשתתפה בהדר ולמעבד בסחורתה. If a person is not a God-fearing person, don't be business with him. Don't do business with such a person. Why? וכל שכן למי החמה באורך. And so much more so that you don't want to some hang out with that person. Why? Because he hasn't have any emunah in him. If I need to choose a business partner, choose a business partner that has emunah. He's not going to steal you. He's not going to go against you. He's not going to stab you in your back. A person that doesn't have emunah will find the first time that he can take advantage of you and take advantage of you. But a person who has 100% emunah, if I want to do business now with a trustworthy person, I know this person will not cheat me. Right? Just today I met somebody that we have some transaction between us, and we know, we look at each other, we don't, everything is on paper. We don't need the paper. I know the person is straight as an arrow, I'm straight as an arrow, there's not going to be any, and if there's going to be even some type of a disagreement here, no problem, let's go to the right arbitrator. Let's deal with it in a nice way. This is a levai that the world will come here to that level. I opened one of my lectures a few weeks ago by explaining, have you noticed that everything in this world is secured with passwords? Your email has a password. Your bank account has a password. Your ATM has a password. Wouldn't it be wonderful not to have passwords? That just everybody's honest and they don't go into your account? That I need to secure everything with passwords? This is the time of Mashiach. The time of Mashiach, you're not going to have passwords to your email, because everybody will have their honesty and their dignity. This is your account. I will not go into it. So I don't have to secure anything. So again here, we're going to stop now. We'll continue tomorrow, Bezrat Hashem. But he's telling us, when it comes to Emunah, first of all, I have to worry about my own Emunah. But when it comes to other people, he tells me two things. Don't do business with a person that doesn't have Emunah, because all it takes is one moment of weakness and that person will turn against you. He's kawaii because he doesn't have Emunah. And don't hang out with a person like that, because if the person doesn't have Emunah, he will pull you to his direction. You have to be a very strong individual not to let the outside affect you. A lot of people ask me, because I became observant when I was 28 years old, a lot of people ask me, do you still have a connection with your old friends? A lot of people who become observant, they're afraid to lose their old friends. And yes, I do have connections with my old friends, but only with the old friends that I know that they don't affect me in a very negative way. I'm the one who's affecting them. And we spoke about it many times, that when my level of emunah is strong, nothing will affect me from the outside. Many people that they don't have a strong emunah, all they need to do is hang out one day, 1 hour with somebody who's a little bit against the Torah. That's it. They spoil everything. They will poison everything. So the Torah comes and says, don't do business with somebody that doesn't have emunah, and don't hang out with somebody that doesn't have emunah. Now he says another thing, just one last paragraph, and we're done for today. Taninan, what we have learned more. Kol barnash, any individual, the azil be'archa, that goes on a path, just walks from point A to point B, what's called in our generation to commute, going from one place to another. Velet imeh mile deoraita, and he doesn't carry with him words of Torah. itchayev benafshe. Person that's going from one place to another and he doesn't have with him Torah, if chas v'shalom will come to get hurt, mitchayev benasho, you're putting your life on the line. Now in our generation, you can play on your phone some Torah, or you can listen to it wherever. Once they used to memorize. They didn't have an iPhone 200 years ago or 1,000 years ago. So they would memorize Mishnayot, and as they're going, they would say the Mishnayot or Tehillim. Now it's easy. You just plug it to your iPhone and you hear Shiur Torah. But nevertheless, if you don't carry with you Torah on a path that you're walking, you're putting yourself in danger. Kol sheken, so much more so, man dizdavek be'archa. And so much more so when you are kind of going together with another person on the path, intellect with a person that doesn't have Emuna. Imagine now you saying, hey, let's do a, how you call it, like share a ride, how do you call it? Car share, carpool. So some people say, hey, we're all going from point A to point B, let's all go together. So it says, what is going to happen if you go with a person that all they talk about is nonsense in the car? It will at some point affect you. You know, I'll tell you a quick story. Not too long ago, somebody contacted us and said, I would like to order some of your CDs. I want to give them out. Okay, sure. We have hundreds of people who do that. Baruch Hashem, we have a network around the world of people getting the CDs and they're giving them out. Thousands of CDs every month. So this individual says, I want some CDs. Okay, so we ship the person CDs. And as who are you, where are you from, how did you find out? So the person says that he would go every week to a Shiur Torah from somewhere, a certain point in New Jersey in America to another city. And he would take with him a bunch of people. And as they were driving in the car, one of my CDs was playing, constantly playing. So another person says, oh, it's nice, I like what I hear. What is this? He says, oh, this is Rabbi Anava, blah, blah, blah. And he pulled out the CD and he says, here, you take it. You take it and you listen to it. So that person was the one who says after a couple of weeks, can I have more of these? I want to not only listen, I want to also give them out. Now imagine they would be sitting in the car and talking about nonsense and Lashon Hara and all sorts of other stuff. What would the passenger get? The owner of the car was playing a CD. The passenger was like, oh, I like what I hear. So just see how the mitzvah goreret mitzvah. One mitzvah will cause you to do another mitzvah. So it says here, don't go on a path or commute or travel without Torah with you. And not only that, don't hang out with somebody that doesn't have Torah. They'll spoil you. Because that person will not necessarily see the strength and the power and the importance of learning Torah for the honor of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. וגם אינו חס ואינו מחשיב כבוד שלו, אם לא יעסוק בתורה, יהיה נידון בגיהנום בחרפה וקלון. If a person wastes their time, one of the most severe sins that we can do every day is called bitul Torah. If you have the opportunity to learn Torah and you're not learning Torah, this is one of the most severe sins. And it says that person will be judged in Gehenom in disgrace and in shame. You had time and you didn't learn Torah? You had the opportunity, you had the availability, and you didn't learn Torah? What did you do? The person doesn't have mercy on his own soul. So, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue tomorrow where we are.